This is, I don't know. How do you feel? Like at any point in time, they could just resurrect somebody, put them in a song. Who gets the royalties?
Yeah, this is
Mama
really,
gonna get some money. I'm like, I don't like this.
No, this is very, very key. It's very interesting because I'm dealing with something very similar. As Black people, we have a difficult time protecting many of our rights, and particularly our intellectual property rights. They're always being trampled. And so hopefully his mother, his estate will have an opportunity, will make sure that they get their rights. But this was something I was looking at just recently. So recently, the Major League Baseball came out with a new baseball video game. And they were so excited to announce that as part of the video game, they have 10 Negro League All-Stars or greats as a part of the game. And they're going to give $1 for each game that's sold to the Negro Leagues Museum in Kansas City. I love the Negro Leagues Museum in Kansas City. I've been there 2 times. But the question I have is, what gives them the right to exploit Josh Gibson, Papa Bell,
Satchel Paige.
Yeah. Their families should have the opportunity to receive that funding. And that, in addition to the Negro Leagues Museum, again, I'm not having anything against the Negro Leagues Museum, because the Negro Leagues was the largest Black-owned business in the history of this country. And it was run out of business because of, once again, integration. And so now all these businesses and these ball players that built up Major League Negro Leagues, now they were destroyed by the Major League Baseball. Now Major League Baseball is going to make money off their name and likeness, and what money is going back to those families. So that's a big issue that Black people have to really make sure we're getting out in front of. I'm dealing with that here with a Tulsa race massacre victim. Dr. A.C. Jackson was murdered, shot with his hands up in the air. He was the most prominent African-American doctor in the country at the time. And he was shot with his hands up and he bled 6 hours. Now, 100 years later, you had the powers that be utilizing Dr. A.C. Jackson's name, image, and likeness, and to help raise $30 million. And we've been in litigation on that very issue that we're talking about, intellectual property rights. And this entity, which is called Greenwood Rising, has fought the heirs of Dr. Jackson. They wouldn't even allow them to open up the estate. We're in litigation right now that they're saying they don't have a right to even open up their estate while they're actually utilizing his name, image, and likeness in their museum to this very day.
That sounds ridiculous. I'm sorry, Rene.
That's correct.
It makes sense.
So they're saying the Greenwood organization is saying that the family doesn't have a right to open up the.
That's it. That's right. Greenwood Rising.
How?
Their argument is they're saying that the family, the blood relatives of Dr. Jackson, we are in litigation because they said they didn't have a right to open up the estate of Dr. Jackson. And the estate of Dr. Jackson was suing them, saying, look, you cannot use his picture without our permission. The families decided, you know what? We don't want to be in this litigation. We'll drop that lawsuit. We just want to open his estate so we can protect his name, image, and likeness. There are other opportunities like books and movies about his life. And despite the family in good faith saying we're going to drop the lawsuit, they still objected, and the court went with them, and we're in a motion to reconsider as I speak right now. That is happening right now. So this issue is real. They think they can just utilize us in any way, just like the SGN did. I didn't follow that trial very closely, so I don't know the specific evidence, but I know that they feel like they can utilize our name, image, and likeness at whim, make millions of dollars, and want us to be happy about it.
Right. I mean, and let's just tell people who A.C. Jackson, A.C. Jackson moved to Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, because of racism. He wanted to be somewhere where he could practice freely, and he was a surgeon. Yep. So you imagine a man born in 1879 to be able to be educated. Come on now, and go to Meharry, right? He went to Meharry in Nashville and trained as a surgeon in Memphis, and then Memphis, of course, Beale Street, of course, Robert Church Senior, and then ended up in Greenwood, which is kind of the pathway from Memphis to Greenwood, because it was.
Yeah, well, actually, you know what, Karen? He went from Memphis. His family was run out of Memphis because his father T.D. Jackson was a Civil War veteran who became a prominent black businessman in Memphis, and he wouldn't bow down to the white power structure, and they came after him. So he had to flee over into Guthrie, Oklahoma, which at the time was not even a state yet. And then they came from Guthrie. Dr. Jackson came up here to Tulsa, built, like you say, the greatest surgical practice for a black surgeon in the nation, and he's shot with his hands up and he's allowed to bleed out of 6 hours inside of the concentration camp.
Oh my goodness. AC Jackson, Dr. Jackson was known, the Mayo Clinic, the Mayo brothers, founders of the Mayo Clinic, considered him the most able Negro surgeon in America, which means he was the most able surgeon in
That's right.
America. He opened the Booker T. Washington Hospital for Negroes. He met with the Tulsa mayor to do that. The hospital was never built because they, of course, in June 1st, 1921, over that Memorial Day weekend, they decimated the town. So it never got built. He was a member of the International Order of 12 Knights and Daughters of Tabor. And he was also on the board of directors of the Colored Orphan Home for Tulsa, but he wanted to do something. He also invented surgical tools that are still being used today.
And that's another reason why we sought to open his estate, because there are surgical tools and intellectual property, as we're talking about, that someone is making money off of today. And the powers that be that killed, the same powers that be, the perpetrators of the massacre, the white power structure that killed Dr. Jackson, the perpetrators of the massacre are now fighting the Jackson family to open up the estate. It is absurd. It is disgusting. And it's something that we're fighting against each and every day. And I appreciate you highlighting it, Karen. And for those who want to fight with us, go to justiceforgreenwood.org, justiceforgreenwood.org. We have 3 living survivors. And Karen, if I may, Mother Viola Fletcher will be 109 years old on Wednesday, May the 10th. I'm going to say it again. Mother Viola Fletcher will be 109 on Wednesday, May the 10th. And for her birthday, guess where we have to be? We have to be in the Tulsa County Courthouse with the city of Tulsa, the chamber, and the other perpetrators of the massacre are trying to get her case dismissed. So on her 109th birthday, almost 102 years after she suffered the massacre, she's going to have to be in court for us to fight for her right to move forward, to try to get justice and some semblance of reparations for her community that was decimated. But this woman is so powerful. She's so regal. She's so special that just yesterday, I was with her and her little brother, Uncle Red, who's 102.
Her little brother.
Her little brother, Uncle Red, 102. I was with them yesterday in Washington, D.C., where we met with the Department of Justice as we urged them to open up the first ever criminal investigation into the Tulsa Race Massacre, pursuant to the Emmett Till Act of 2007, reauthorized in 2016 into cold cases. This is the first time after almost 2 years of Karen, you know this, after almost 2 years of advocacy, we finally got an opportunity to have a meeting with the investigative team to meet and discuss and interview my clients. And so we're urging the Department of Justice to do the right thing, to open up the first ever criminal investigation into the massacre. We're urging the Biden administration. Joe Biden came down to Tulsa during the centennial. He met with my clients. I was there when he told my clients, I'm going to do everything we can to get you justice. My clients said, we want justice for our community. And that includes an investigation. We want to know who the perpetrators were. We want to know more about the massacre. Right now, we only know about 5 to 10% because all the records have been hidden. And so on one end, we got the court system holding us up. And on the other end, we got the federal government holding us up. We hope on May 10th, we move forward on the court system. And we hope with the help of you, Karen and Rene, and these amazing listeners that you have, telling Christian Clark, who is the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, urging her to use her power to do the right thing and open up an investigation into the Tulsa Race Massacre.
Well, we're here.
I mean,
so who do we
list.
at?
Yeah.
Is it we at? Come on, tell us who we who you did. Where do we go? Where do we go, Damario?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, go to justiceforgreenwood.org. That's number 1. Get on our mailing list, make a donation, because this is not free or easy. Number 2, contact Christian Clark. Christian Clark is the assistant.
Is it Kristen?
Yes, Clark,
Okay.
Clarke.
Okay.
And
Thank
that's,
you.
she's a good sister that was, before she became in this position, she was the president of the Lawyers Committee on Civil Rights. So she has a civil rights background. But anytime someone gets in government, they need us to push them. Like what President Lyndon B. Johnson told Dr. King, hey, push me, make me do it. Because she's fighting against a lot of policies and procedures and backlash in that office, in this department. So we need to help her help us. And what we told them yesterday, if you cannot look into the Tulsa Race Massacre, the largest crime ever committed post-enslavement in American history, a crime that everyone knows happened, a crime where there's video, a crime where there's pictures, a crime where there are hundreds of insurance claims, a crime where there are 3 living survivors that tell you what happened to them. If you can't open that investigation, what can you investigate? If you cannot protect the Black lives that were lost, over 10,000 people, lives were decimated. If you cannot investigate that, what can you investigate? Don't tell me why you can't do it. Find a way to make it happen. Use the law. One thing they want to say is, well, we don't know if we can prosecute anyone. The law's primary purpose is to investigate cold cases committed between 1920 and 1970, civil rights abuses. When was the 1921 race massacre? 1921. Who was being abused? Black people. We meet the criteria, plain and simple.
Yeah.